Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Would you want to live the same life over and over again 100 times over? What do you want to make out of your life? Who do you want to be? Look, life is short. You got what you got, and you really have to go for your own. And nothing will change unless you change. Guys, I'm helping men make that change at my intensive retreats in San Diego, California. Go to kfmretreat.com to learn more and be a part of a program that is transforming men's lives into the most powerful version of themselves. Again, that's kfmretreat.com. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Marino. He's the founder of Alpha M Image Consulting and has over 10 years of experience and expertise helping men look their best and reach their goals. Aaron, happy to have you here on the show.
Andrew, thank you so much for having me. This is great. I'm excited to be a part of it.
I'm excited too. And so, Aaron, we kickstart off every show with the favorite success quote of the guest or some sort of saying that they live by. So share with us what you got and what that means to you.
The quote that pretty much has exemplified my life, and one that I have to always remind myself, is that success doesn't always look like what you hope it will. Meaning that, a lot of times we go into ventures or a project and we think we know what success is going to ultimately mean and look like. And a lot of times when you go through and actually experience, it looks totally different, and it's okay.
And does this somehow relate to your story, how you got started with what you do? I want to dive into the story.
Yeah, absolutely. From the time I was 8 years old, the only thing I wanted to do was own a fitness center. I remember driving in the car with my grandfather, who said, "Aaron, what do you want to do when you grow up?" I said, "I want to own a gym." And pretty much that was my goal from the age of 8 until ultimately I ended up opening a fitness center. I went to West Virginia University, studied business management and marketing, and once I got out, I actually met a gentleman, and we opened a chain of nutrition stores. And so right away, I'm like, all right, this isn't exactly fitness center, but it still relates. And so did that for a little while, and ultimately realized that that was not what my, if you want to use the word, calling was, because the gentleman that I went into business with, I realized our ethics didn't exactly jive, and he started actually selling drugs out of the store. And I didn't know much, but I knew that I would not fare well in prison. I'd be popular, but I definitely, I was not going to flourish in the pen. And so I ended up walking away from that business. We had it for a year, and we opened 3 nutrition stores, and were incredibly successful. I walked away because he didn't want to buy me out. I didn't want to stay, and so it was ultimately a tough decision. I went to work as a trainer at a fitness center, sort of not knowing what the next step was. Well, I actually had the pleasure of working and meeting a woman and helping her lose 100 pounds. And she was an older woman, and she decided that she wanted to help other people feel as great as she did. And so she actually approached me about opening a small fitness studio. And that was sort of the ticket. And so we ended up partnering. We signed the lease to our space on September 11th, the September 11th. A few years later, we decided we wanted to try to open a group fitness facility where we actually catered to children, parents. And so we came up with a business plan, we raised investment capital, and we decided we were going to start franchising. We had our first open house, and actually 9 people that were interested in our fitness franchise. And then we found out that one of our investors was actually legally not allowed to be around children. And
okay.
so, yeah, I'll leave it.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. And so We ultimately had a legal battle, and my business partner and I, at that point, just decided that it was time to sort of bite the bullet and shut down. And so at that point, I was 30 years old, and I didn't know what to do. I had not planned for anything. I'm the type of guy who's never had a plan B. I do everything 100%. I focus until it's time, or I'm made to realize that it's time to move on. And so something interesting happened when I owned my fitness center, though. Looking back, I can realize that that was actually the most pivotal point in my career and my development as a person, really, because the gentleman, his name was Steve. He was a meteorologist at the Weather Channel, and he didn't know what to wear for a date. And he came up to me and said, "Hey, I don't know what to wear." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, we're good friends. Why don't I come over to your house and we'll take a look at what you have, see what you need. If we need to, we'll go and get your hair cut. By the way, your nose hairs need to be trimmed. They're crazy." And so that was sort of the foundation for what I ultimately would choose to be my career. He went back to work. He was approached by one of his female coworkers who said, "Hey, you look great. What'd you do?" And he said, "There's this guy that I know that took me shopping, took me to get a haircut." And she said, "Will he take my husband?" And so he said, "Probably, I don't have anything else to do." And so he actually gave her my number. She called me and said, "I want you to take my husband shopping." I said, "Great, I'll do it," because it was fun. And then she asked me how much I charged. And that's sort of when the light bulb and the dollar signs rolled back in my eyes like a cartoon cat. And I realized that there was something bigger out there in this world. And so when I lost my fitness center, I started doing a lot of research online to see what was out there in terms of resources for everyday average guys to get solid basic advice on how to look great. And there really wasn't anything. GQ magazine, Esquire, this was back in 2006. There really wasn't anything. That wasn't information that appealed to me or my dad or my cousin or my friends. I wanted just regular basic advice on, hey, does this make me look good or not? And so I decided to do the research, do the homework, and start an image consulting business. I did that for about 2 years. I started advertising on Google AdWords or with Google AdWords and had success pretty much immediately. I had guys flying in from around the country that would spend the day with me, and I would take them shopping, get their hair cut, and help them develop a wardrobe. A lot of these guys were recently divorced men, and they just didn't know where to start, and they wanted sort of one of their own to take them by the hand and pat them on the back and said, "Great job, you look amazing." And so that started it all. And my wife in 2008 gave me a video camera, and this is when everything changed because I started posting videos on YouTube, and that has sort of exploded everything in terms of my fulfillment, my passion, my drive. I realized that there was such a audience, a much larger audience out there. And so my business changed, and that's sort of where I am today.
All right. And so where do you start with a guy? Guy contacts you. He's interested in improving his image. Where do you start? What kind of questions do you ask the guy? Like, what are you looking for with making a guy improve his style?
See, here's the thing. When it comes to working with men, most people are doing some things right. There are only, the handful of guys that are doing everything wrong in terms of grooming and style and personal presentation. Usually it's about identifying the things that they're doing well and tweaking and modifying the aspects that we could improve in order to enhance everything. And so basically I have a questionnaire that I send guys that gives me sort of the rundown of what they're doing style-wise. I ask for pictures, and that pretty much paints an immediate picture of what they're wearing and how their clothes are fitting along with their grooming. And so from there we start with the shoes and work our way up to their hair. It's pretty methodical. In order to successfully execute one of these sessions, you really need to do it strategically.
Got it. I find that even in my case, often guys wear the same clothes or have the same style they've had since college. And then maybe the only clothes they've really purchased after that are for work. So they have like their work clothes, but basically when they're not at work, they're wearing the same clothes that they've been wearing since college. Or maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm speaking.
I think it's just you. No, absolutely.
Okay.
We as men have a tough time with change. It's something where we resist it, and with style, we're so scared to make a mistake, or we're scared to take that next step because we're afraid that people will actually notice. It's sort of a catch-22. You want to look better, but you don't want people to realize that you actually did something in order to try and obtain that. And so times guys come to me just because they need a little helping hand and a push outside of their box.
Got it. What do you say to guys when they want to do this? They're interested in this, but they're just like, I don't want to spend all this money. I don't want to go to Nordstrom and spend $100 on a shirt. I don't want to buy $200 jeans. Like, how do you respond to those kind of?
No, and neither do I. That's the good news.
Yeah.
There's a myth that you need to spend a lot in order to look great. If you know where to shop, to find good deals on good clothing, and you really find clothing that fits being the number one thing that you need to focus on, you know what? I've seen somebody turn a $20 shirt and make them look better in a $20 shirt as opposed to somebody who spent $200 just because it fits better. And so you can absolutely get the job done without spending a ton of cash.
Got it. And so the idea of looking great is the clothes must fit. Like, if it fits better, it can look better than a $200 shirt that doesn't fit you.
Absolutely.
So you help guys look great. Like, what kind of results have you gotten from your clients, from them not looking so great, them working with you? What kind of results have they had in their lives from this type of transformation?
Here's what people need to understand. I'm helping people with putting together this personal package. But it really boils down to confidence. There's a moment in a session when I work with a gentleman where the light bulb goes on. We've gone through the shopping, we've analyzed his current wardrobe, we've done the grooming, we put him in some great outfits, and we turn him towards the mirror and he sees it. And for the first time, a lot of times in his life, he finally feels good. And that transcends every aspect of his life. It's not just professional, it's personal, it's his friendships. Everything gets better when you feel better about yourself. Even though we're doing it sort of from the outside in, it definitely transcends and permeates every ounce and cell of your being when you feel better about yourself and you're confident.
Got it. Yeah, I can see that. You put on something nice, you look in the mirror like, wow, looking great. And then it just kind of goes into your body and it changes the way that you are for the rest of that day.
I mean, you walk taller. When you put on a suit, you walk taller. You look people in the eye. You shake hands. You engage people like you wouldn't when you're insecure and not feeling great about the way that you're presenting yourself.
What other things do you help guys with other than style? I know there's a much larger vision here.
Yeah, and it really goes back to that whole confidence factor. What I have realized is that I may be talking about style, or I may be talking about grooming or people skills or personal presentation, mannerisms, but all it boils down to is my goal with all of my videos, with all of the sessions and services that I offer, is to help men finally feel good about themselves. And it really does boil down to confidence. And so in a nutshell, everything that I do encompasses this concept of making them feel great and confident.
Got it. And looking back at this journey of yours where people were asking you, hey, can you get my husband done? And then from having that light bulb moment to where you are now and building this massive following, what would you say are some of the biggest lessons you've learned about building an online business and consulting in the last 10 years of doing this?
Basically, the biggest lesson that I learned was early on when I started posting YouTube videos. I thought that I looked at other successful YouTubers, people that had a large following, and I saw sort of common themes that they were doing. Maybe they were edgy, or they were cursing, or they were trying to just go over the top with some of the things that they were saying. And I tried that, and all of those videos have been removed because I hated myself as a person in those videos. And what I realized was authenticity is going to win out every time, and people reward authenticity with friendship, with trust. And so that's really the biggest lesson. When you try to put up a facade or you try to be something that you might not be, it shows. It's written all over your face. It's written all over your body language. It's just something that people can see. And that realization that I needed to be authentic and this is the person that I need to represent and be true to changed everything for me.
Yeah. I mean, when you're incongruent to who you are, transcends out and people can feel it, and it just feels this sense of mistrust and just lack of integrity.
Absolutely.
So when you're doing these types of videos, how do you deal with the opinions of other people? Anytime you're building something, you're putting yourself on the line, you're being authentic, you're putting yourself on the line there. Like, I'm sure you've gotten those comments. Like, how do you deal with the opinions of other people as you're building your brand, your business?
I'm on YouTube, so I definitely understand negativity.
Right.
And, it's something where regardless of how many followers you have, regardless of how many positive people are in your life or kudos you get, you still notice, and it still hurts when somebody has something negative to say, regardless of how you've conditioned yourself to sort of realize that, they don't matter, or it's small potatoes, or who cares. It still hurts. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. I would say that if you do have thin skin and things offend you easily, you're going to have a tough road because the criticism is going to be out there. Hopefully the majority of the criticism that you're going to receive is constructive, which you can learn from. But a lot of times there's that destructive criticism where you really just need to put it where it belongs and put on your coat of confidence and your shield, and hopefully it reflects and it just bounces off. You've got to not take things to heart, but easier said than done.
Absolutely, yeah. In the world of YouTube, the comments are definitely coming. They're lining up.
They absolutely are.
Like, did you ever kind of have this question of like, who am I to give other people advice? Like, a younger guy probably giving advice to older guys who are paying your older clients. Like, did you ever have that kind of, I'd say, like, kind of friction with kind of being young and helping guys out and giving advice?
Not really, because, with any consulting job or career that you go into, it boils down to if somebody believes you, if somebody is willing to pay you, you know more than them. And you've got to just accept that. Now, it's one of those things where I know more than the guys that are coming to me. And so there really wasn't that insecurity about, well, what if. I mean, a lot of times the fact that I was younger and sort of had my finger on the pulse of sort of current styles and trends was the reason they were actually coming to me. And so that really wasn't an issue.
Got it. And so let's now, Aaron, dive into the knowledge round. Just going to ask you some rapid fire questions here. So, Aaron, are you ready for the knowledge round?
Do I have a choice? Yes, I'm ready.
There you go.
Let's see. We'll see how knowledgeable or unknowledgeable I am real fast.
We were all born completely unique. Your DNA has never occurred in the past and will never occur again in the future. This fact makes you unique, and there's a purpose behind this. There's a reason behind all of this. You have some great purpose that you need to fulfill for being here. And it's a shame if that purpose never comes alive and it goes into the graveyard, the richest land in the world. Don't let that be you. Create the life of your dreams, break through, and reach your full potential. Check out how my retreats can transform your life and light a fire inside of you to go after your dreams and become the best man that you can be. Go to kfmretreat.com to learn more and apply. Again, that's kfmretreat.com. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime.
And the first question I have for you, Aaron, is what advice would you give to someone who's feeling really lost or unsure of what they should do?
Yeah. For me, whenever I feel unsure, I realize that I just haven't figured out the answer. And so it boils down to really sitting down and being honest with yourself and looking at things from multiple angles. When I feel lost personally, I realize that there is something else that I haven't grasped yet. It's a lot of times for me, it's center myself, do things for me, start really being a little bit more selfish, and identify those areas of my life that I want to improve. And then the next step and the more difficult step is what actions do I need to take in order to obtain that? And that's pretty much what I do.
Got it. Got it. And what was holding you back from becoming the man you are now today?
It was not being ready to be honest. I really have sort of gone through this process and this transition from a little bit insecure to being comfortable in my own skin. And I think really that boils down to that whole confidence concept again. When you're confident, when you believe that you bring value to the world and those around you, you've got nothing to lose, and your confidence, self-esteem will skyrocket. And so that sort of was apparent to me, and I know that I do good work and I help a lot of people, and that was really key to me identifying my sense of self.
Absolutely. Can you name a person who's had a tremendous impact on your life? Maybe someone who's been a mentor to you on your journey. Why and how has this person impacted your life?
I have been asked this question before, and I really don't have a mentor, and I really don't have a business coach. But what I did have and what I continue to have is support, unconditional support from my parents and my family. And I really feel that that is the key to really being okay with trying things and experimenting and taking big, massive risks, because you know that you've always got people that will love you regardless of your successes or your failures. And so really it was just having a great mother and great father and family members.
Got it. Got it. And what would you say are, if this could be a challenging question here, but 3 of your most influential books, 2 or 3, and why?
Influential books would be Dress Your Best by Clinton Kelly and Stacey London, which they're actually the hosts of What Not to Wear. And that book actually taught me how to be an image consultant and how to really talk to people and explain things and the structure to dressing people different body types. And so for me, that book, incredibly influential. For somebody else, it's absolutely something to set your coffee on. I also like Jab Jab by Gary Vaynerchuk. And he was somebody who is really just a social media marketing expert. And he really opened my eyes to a lot of things social media wise. There's another book by a gentleman, Simon Sinek, Start With Why. That really opened my eyes as well. And I think, if you're anybody in business or just, I think that's a great book for anybody, because it really forces you to identify why you do things and, really get to the heart of the matter.
I like it. That's a really good book. I actually just recently interviewed Gary. Just all I can think of when I interviewed him was just what a hustler.
Oh man, I'll tell you, his story is pretty amazing. And yeah, the hustle and the level of intensity is just unparalleled.
Unreal. Yeah. I got a scenario here for you, Aaron. Imagine you had 60 seconds with your 20-year-old self. What would you tell him to do, and what would you tell him not to do?
20-year-old me, I would tell me to stay focused, be nice to the little guy, stick up for the little guy, and don't let negative energy impact you and affect you. There was a time in my life where I really just, I had a difficult time standing up for myself. And so I found myself around some people that were definitely, they did not have my best interest in mind, and they're very negative and emotionally abusive. And so something I've learned, as I've gotten older and as I've matured, is just to not be around those people. Identify toxic people as quickly as you can and get them out of your life. And so that's the lesson that I would tell 20-year-old me.
Yeah. And so let's say here, just to summarize some of your main points, looking back from where you were, starting a nutrition center, someone who's selling drugs, to where you are now, and in that gap in there's so much knowledge and so much wisdom and lessons learned. What would you say is your philosophy on, let's say, like life and success?
If you can find what you love to do and a way and figure out how to actually make that your living and something that you do every single day, you are that is what it was about. And for me, it's all about helping people. There's nothing like the feeling that you get like helping somebody. It doesn't matter how big, it doesn't matter how small. My goal for life is to continue making a difference in people's lives, because for selfish reasons, it feels incredible. And for me personally, there's no better gift.
Yeah. All right. That's going to conclude the knowledge round there. So, Aaron, what's exciting you today? What's getting you out of bed in the morning?
Basically, I love what I do now. I've never been in a position in my life where I have been so excited to do what I do, and that is make videos, make content, interact with people from around the world. Every day I get up and I'm excited. I'm excited to get to work. And so the fact that I'm more successful now than I've ever been, the fact that I actually can make a living making videos essentially for guys to help them is motivation enough for me to jump out of bed and get started. And so that is what I love to do, and I'm just fortunate that I get to do it.
Yeah, I can hear that just through the tone of your voice. That's really exciting stuff. Aaron, go ahead and give yourself a plug on how the audience can follow up with you.
Easy. If you want to find me on YouTube, you can just type in Alpha M and you'll find my stuff. If you Google search Alpha M, you'll find my website where I've got over 2,500 videos and articles on all things men's style, grooming, fitness, and life in general. It's free, and so come check it out, and hopefully you learn something.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much for sharing your story, being a little vulnerable here with my community, and sharing the lessons you've learned on that journey. I really appreciate your time.
Me too. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and 1 million downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we've just started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a review in iTunes. It really helps to grow the podcast. Guys, 2015 is the official year of living with purpose, where every day you do only the things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. Check out kfmfree.com to get free tools I've created to help you crush life. Again, that's kfmfree.com. This is your host, Andrew Fairby, and I'll see you in the next episode.